Back here at Sandbar Seafood Restaurant in Creek House with a very familiar face, David McCann, our kindness ambassador. David,
Thank you.
yeah, well, you've earned that right. We had you on with a full episode right before the end of the year. Great way to end 2025. We're back with a different act of kindness this time, and something that people may not have known because it involves the late U.S. president. You pick it up from there.
I had lunch with three other amigos last summer, and we got talking about the state of the world affairs, and we decided we wanted to see if we could somehow change the conversation. And out of that meeting came a desire to remind people of what good friends and good neighbors are. And one of the gentlemen was there, Conway Jones, very graciously donated a bronze bust of President Jimmy Carter. And Canadians, I don't think, really appreciate the true story behind Jimmy Carter. In 1952, he was one of several hundred men that was lowered into the chamber of a nuclear reactor in Chalk River. It was going rogue. They're still decontaminating that site 70 years later. Jimmy never came to Canada when he was the president, but he did come to Canada a number of times to build homes for Canadian families in need. And that, to me, is the true definition of a friend and neighbor. They come and help when you need them. And they do it without a lot of fanfare. They just show up. And that's what this segment's going to be about. And that's what the dedication ceremony is about. We've got letters from kids in Mexico, comments from people as far away as Newfoundland, and kids in one of the local schools. The entire school got together and wrote a letter that I'm going to read at the dedication ceremony. And it's really heartwarming to see that people really do understand what good friends and good neighbors are. And we just have to remind ourselves of that all the time.
Well, we're going to remind people and our viewers right now. Our first guest joining us in this segment, David, please introduce someone we're very honored to have here and a big part of why we're here today.
This is Becky Carter, the spouse of Jimmy Carter's son. And she's very graciously come all the way from Georgia to attend the dedication ceremony we're having today. So welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not real sure about the change of temperature pleasure part. It was 70 when I left home yesterday, but this is lovely and refreshing. And Vancouver is so beautiful.
It saves you air conditioning costs.
Yes, it sure does.
Becky, as David said, it's a great thrill to have you here today. Can you talk a bit about your relationship with the late president and his all-important wife? As you said off camera, they were a pair.
Oh, absolutely.
So talk about that and talk about that a bit and the Carter Foundation.
They had a remarkable relationship in that they shared everything they did. However, each one of them had their own projects. And so they had separate responsibilities, but mutual responsibilities. And they conferred with each other on each thing that they did.
So Jimmy Carter has a very special relationship to Canada going back to 1952. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
What I know about it, I was alive at that point, but I was only a year old, so I don't remember it very well. But what he talked about was he was in school to learn nuclear engineering.
Right.
And so what he talked about was the great detail he and his team practiced, because they could only be in the reactor for 90 seconds.
Can you tell them what the
Because of the radiation exposure, which was multiple times, like thousands of times more than what we would accept today. And so they practiced which bolt they were going to loosen in that 90 seconds or tighten or pieces they were going to put together. They were going into the reactor because it was starting to melt down. And it was going to be a hazard to the people of Canada, and I guess it may have blown into the US as well. And they were some of the experts in nuclear reactors. All the people on the team had to be continually tested for months, and they tested positive for radiation for months after this. They were all told they probably couldn't have children. Well, the Carters had 4, so unfortunately, that didn't come about. But their health and lives were in danger, as was that of their families, because they could. But he wanted to do that, and they wanted to do it because Canada was part of us. We're all together in this.
What does today mean to you?
What does today mean to me? The fact that Canada and the people of Canada were so important to President and Mrs. Carter, and that the people of Canada want to recognize that by including a sculpture of him in this important courtyard. That also recognizes people who lost their lives terribly and other people who have committed their lives to important things of this area. And the fact that Canadians think of that when they reflect on President and Mrs. Carter, it just is so touching to me. I'm just honored that you've invited us to be here, and thank you for that.
Last word, David.
We're going to be speaking, I'm going to be sharing some words that Jean Chrétien, former Prime Minister, has asked me to speak. He can't be here, unfortunately. And one of the things he emphasizes, probably the principal point in his speech, is the importance of friends and neighbors. And I think the thing that impresses me most about Jimmy Carter, that I remember most, is not his presidency. It's him coming to Canada with a tool belt and building homes with Habitat for Humanity for Canadian families in need. I mean, that a president would pick up a tool belt and tell the cameras to disappear and spend all day long driving nails and sawing boards and carrying lumber, and that's a pretty incredible human being.
Yeah. Becky, can you tell us a bit about the work that the Carter Center does?
The Carter Center works internationally. It is an independent, nonprofit organization, and we work in countries that are the poorest of the poor. We work to support democracy, small democracy, small d democracy, and work on neglected tropical diseases. And one of the aspects of the Carters was that they wanted to know the people who were involved. And the practice of the Carter Center is not to go in and build a building and bring in staff and run programs. They go in and work with the country. They have to have the invitation of the national government and the local approval.
Right.
And they work with individuals in those communities so that it is their program. It's not the Carter Center program.
Right.
It's the South Sudanese program. And that provides longevity. If there's a conflict, that means that our staff isn't pulled out and taken home and nobody's there to do the work anymore, because the people who are there are the ones who are doing the work.
A serendipitous meeting of four old guys last summer led us to be here today. We met over lunch, and after bemoaning the current state of world affairs for an hour or so, we started to talk about how we might help to change the dialogue and remind people of our common humanity. Hopefully the words we hear today will help renew hope for the future. Indeed, then, this is a fitting place to honor President Jimmy Carter. His life in public service reminds us that leadership is not measured by titles and the trappings of power, by what one does with that power.
Tom, always great to have you in David's segments here from CMHC. What does another monument like this mean to the island? Another great place for tourists to stop and reflect, eh?
Yeah, well, it's great to be here, and we thank David for everything he does. As always, you can't keep up with the guy. I would say the idea of Granville Island being a neighborly place for people to come and celebrate each other, the spirit of an international cooperation, these are all really important things to Granville Island. We love it, of course, having people come here, our neighbors from the south, but our neighbors from the entire world. So this is great. This is wonderful.
Well, we're taking a little break from the tribute and spotlight on the late Jimmy Carter, U.S. President. David and I are upstairs again here at Creek House in Sandbar. David, we have a guest here for the first time, Lance Blanchette, and his business. You pick it up from there.
I've known Lance for over 29 years, and he runs the Lounge Chair Studio. And he's doing an initiative to help Granville Island Cares for Kids to help encourage people to donate to buy meals for hungry kids. An amazing guy.
Well, hey, Lance, you of course know David. He's been with us a long time. Granville Island Cares for Kids, an important part of what he does philanthropically. Tell our viewers a little bit about what you do, the business you have. Been there 29 years.
Yes, we do hair. We've been selling in Vancouver for about 28 years, 29 years. We do basically everything, color, cut, everything to do with hair. We have been working with David for a long time with a lot of the charity work that he has done. And it's a pleasure to be here to help him out with Granville Island Cares for Kids again.
And your business is called
Lounge Hair Studio.
Lounge Hair Studio. You're located
right on Richard Street, right on between Helmkin and Davie.
Okay, David. One of the things you're doing, and you do this with a lot of the people you work with, is you're getting these spectacular art prints that are just stunning, expensive. I don't mind saying, that are just heading to the dump, and they call you. You're the guy, as we said often on the show.
I've become the guy to go to for fridges, freezers, stoves, artwork, food, cutlery, you name it. Somebody gave me a boat the other day.
Someone gave you a lot of flip-flops years ago, which you sent to
They did, and they went to the school board.
What are you doing here with Lance now? Other than getting a great haircut, they can do what to help you out?
He gave me a great haircut. He's got some beautiful stone lithographs by Bernard Gantner, and he's giving them free to all of his clients, and at the same time giving them a sheet explaining what Granville Island Cares for Kids, and if they'd like to donate, they can, but there's no obligation. It's a way of saying thank you, but also encouraging people to help make a difference in the world.
Excellent. Thank you, Lance. Mr. McCann, who is our guest joining now?
This is Connor Hammond. He's the office manager for Talga Mohammed, the local member of parliament. Granville Island's part of his riding. And unfortunately, the House of Commons is sitting today. So Tal can't be here, but he's asked this gentleman here to come and pass along greetings.
Got a very official-looking binder there,
That's
Connor.
right,
You take it from there.
Yeah, no, my boss would be the first to say he recognizes the importance of the unveiling of this prestigious statue that's going out on Granville Island, and it's such a hub for all Vancouverites, and it's a great place to recognize an individual that was so compassionate and so neighborly to us during his time in office, and was someone who really ran with human rights as being one of his big to-dos in terms of his time in office. And while Taub was unfortunately unable to be here, he understands the significance of a moment here in Granville Island, which is such a hub of the city.
This Act of Kindness segment was sponsored by the folks at the Creek House in the heart of Granville Island. They encourage you to open up your heart and reach out and help someone in need.